Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Anas, and well, today we're gonna talk about how to build a drone if you don't have any money and you don't have any knowledge about drones. One of the reasons why I decided to address this problem is I'm on quite a lot of forums on Facebook and stuff like that, um, with people, drone builders and stuff. And we often get this question on forums, I want to build a drone, but I don't have any money and I don't have any knowledge. Or I want to fly a drone, but I don't know how to. And that's kind of all the info that you get. So I thought, I'm gonna make a bit video about it. It's not gonna be easy, but I think there is a chance to actually do that. And so get a cup of coffee because this video requires a good cup of coffee or tea or beer or whatever you can get your hands on. Goat's milk. I really don't know. Depends where you live in the world and what your drink is. So, oh, and let me just turn on my cigar because yeah, let's just jump right into that. I actually made a script today. Um, so we'll be focusing. Well, it's like this. We'll be focusing mostly on brushed quartz today. So if that has absolutely no interest, please stay tuned anyway, and I'll give the reasons why I think that anybody who's got a really limited budget, and I mean like totally limited budget, should start out with this in 2022. It sounds like a pretty crazy idea, but stay tuned. Please stay tuned. So step one is there any way, and this is like my honest opinion, is there any way that you can fly a simulator for free or any sim on a computer? Um, because while you're learning all these other new skills and scavenging parts or whatever that you're going to be doing to be able to build a drone, it's good to also have some relaxed time. And if you have a mobile phone, which I suppose most have to be able to comment on Facebook and forums, then there are some simulators you can play on the phone. They're not brilliant, but they are gonna give you at least a feeling of flying and also orientation and stuff like that. So try and see if you can do that. If you don't have a computer, this whole drone building and tuning and flying and everything else is going to make it really hard to work on drones. Not impossible, because there is software for your phone that is called SpeedyBee, the app, and you can pretty much do everything from that app. But you're gonna need one of these USB micro to USB micro to get access to the flight controllers or some other or you're gonna need a flight controller. So no matter what drone you're building, you're gonna need some kind of a little board, because four motors, a battery, and four propellers and a radio controller does not make a drone. It just doesn't. It's not gonna fly, and there are reasons for that, and that is because you can't. It's just resistance. You need something to tell the motors how fast to spin up when you're trying to control it. So all drones have some sort of software in them. Toy drones, all drones. So if that's out of your reach, just turn off and don't waste people's times by posting comments about you want to build a drone but have no money or knowledge. Um, because that's kind of where it starts. You're gonna need one of these, any kind. It doesn't really matter. The flight controller or the board or the drone or the whatever, we'll get to that. That's gonna determine what kind of a drone you're gonna be building and what you should be focusing on scavenging and finding. Um, but this is going to be necessary at least to be able to connect a drone to some to get in touch with the software and be able to make it fly, because it doesn't just fly by itself with the software. There are some things that have to be tuned, and settings have to be made, because there's also a radio controller. Now on toy drones, this has already been set up by the factory, so For example, this is a custom drone that I built from a toy drone. The toy drone that I bought looked like this, and it came with a radio controller like this. So already there, and it's a brush drone. Now these are not so expensive anymore, the brush drones, so you'd be able to get these. We'll talk about getting parts later in this video. It's going to be really interesting. Now, please stay tuned because this is a really, really important video. So if you want to build your own drone, you're going to learn everything there is to learn, all the real proper basics in this video. Now, the reason why you're going to need some kind of a computer or a mobile phone is obviously to be able to do the settings and stuff like that. If you're going to do a drone that you're going to be able to, if you're going to make a drone that you can program yourself. There's also another thing that you could do, because there's another possibility. Arduinos. So if you are from a third world country and are educated, but you don't have money because you need to buy school books and all this kind of stuff, and it's difficult. Then if you're lucky enough to be studying Arduinos, then you can make Arduinos fly. So you should definitely look into that way. Now, how you're going to get all the other parts is something that you should probably work with your school with, because brushless motors and speed controllers and ESCs and stuff like that is scavengeable from other devices. But I'm not a specialist in that. That's the part where you're going to have to do the work yourself. I can't go pling and now you can build a drone. Nobody in the world can do that. It took me 4 years to be able to do what I'm doing, and now I'm 6 years in, so I know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm talking, otherwise I'll shut up. Now, let's move on. So there are different kinds of firmware on that you can flash to these custom drones that have an F3, F4, or an F1 processor. Now, some of them could be, what's it called? Silverware. That's for an F1, F3. That's a whole different thing. You can flash that to some toy drones like the E010, which is this one. You might be able to get those flight controllers really cheap. I'm gonna just see if it will focus here, because I am okay. So this is the JJRC board. But anyway, let's go back down here. So there's also Betaflight, EmuFlight, iNav. There used to be something called Butterflight as well, and there are different versions of Betaflight. And now Betaflight and EmuFlight have evolved so much that brushed flight controller boards for brushed motors. This is a brushed motors. Inside it has brushes hitting this a stator that makes it turn around, and the magnets are in the middle. The whole thing actually turns, and that's just the shell. A brushless motor, however, is totally different. A brushless motor has the stator stuck and the magnets in a bell, and that's a whole different technology. And these are often much more expensive. The actual parts, the brushless motors. So that's why I think you should go brushed, because brushed is kind of a blast from the past. These are from like 6 years ago, and even then these were kind of old school. But so step 2, finding out what your limitation is will make you know what to get better at or what direction to take for your new drone build. So, okay, I have a mobile phone. I'm not very good at English. I can follow a schematic, I am good at English, but I don't know anything about software. That's something you can learn. It's pretty much like setting up a Windows computer, but it's just a drone. There's just some parameters you need to set up, stuff like that. It's not too difficult, and you can get all the information about it online and on YouTube. And I will refer to Joshua Bardwell as one of the people that really dives deep, and then Painless 360, which is where I've gotten most of my information from. He's got lots and lots of videos about that, and that goes way back. Also Andy RC and Albert Kim, and there are some others. Sorry. Of course, Nick Burns. He also has a lot of really good content. So you should check those names out. I'm not gonna link to them because it's very just type the names that I said. Um, so custom programmable uh, FPV drones running Betaflight software, they can be quite expensive. This is a cheaper one. This is got a broken motor, that's why I put this on. But this is the Eachine Tyro 79. This also came as a kit, and there's still a kit, but still, this is like, you get the drone, but you're gonna need a radio controller as well to control the drone, and this toy thing is not gonna connect to this. They talk different languages. It's like as Afrikaan talking to some Norwegian guy. It's just that they're just not going to work if they don't know each other's language. And that's kind of a general thing in this whole drone hobby. So they're going to be, so if you're going to go the toy way, you're going to be limited to the toy radio. That whatever that toy drone you can get hold of comes with. Now, we're going to get to parts in a minute. Please stay tuned. Please stay tuned. We'll get to the parts very soon. How to scavenge parts. How to get your parts. Now, another thing. Drones, they vary in sizes. And the bigger they get, the more expensive they tend to be. And one of the reasons is you're going to need a bigger battery to get something heavier to fly. And batteries tend to be expensive. Now, let's put some of this away. This is the E010. Try and see if you can find this and afford this. This will make your life of building a drone and starting in the hobby, even now in 2022 or 23 or 24, whenever, this will make your life a hell of a lot easier, because a lot of these parts are really, really, really cheap to buy new, and I bet you'll be able to get a lot of them for free. And please stay tuned, and I've said this a lot, but I know this is a long video, but this is really important stuff. I'm going to teach you how to get stuff for free. Or at least I'm going to teach you some methods of which you might be lucky to get some stuff for free. Okay? So, and it's very important. Okay? Now, whoops are the least expensive of all the drones that I know. They are very forgiving. They're very resilient. And it's just, wow, that's one of the screws that I need. Oh, and there's another one. How great is that? Yeah, motors and magnets. So this is definitely a way to start. Now, this is what I still have the first drone I ever bought, and it still flies, and I've changed the motors I don't know how many times, and it's generally just a really great drone. This is the Fury B F36, I think, 37, and I don't think you can get this anymore, unfortunately. But this was like the one to get to be able to mount a camera on it. Since then, some others have come out with slightly bigger motors, which, depending on your battery size, that's probably what you should go with, because then you can get a cheaper, bigger camera and mount on. Another thing, you see my whole messy drone desk here. This is like lined up so you can see there's actually a lot of tools and stuff you need to be able to proficiently build drones. You can't just find a screwdriver and say, okay, I'm going to build a drone. I'll heat this up and I use it as a soldering iron, and I'll just use normal tin that I tin, metal with, tin stuff like this together with, this has probably been tin. No, it hasn't, but you know what I mean. So no, that's not going to work. You're going to need like real soldering wire and stuff like that. So soldering skills. I mean, this one comes without plugs. Only one. That's for a camera or something. And because they actually did start making these so that it was ready for some sort of a camera. But you're gonna have to, just to build it from scavenged parts, you're gonna have to be able to solder. Now, a soldering iron is not too expensive. This one's well busted, and this was kind of a cheap one. So you're also gonna need electricity, obviously, to build. So if you've only got 12 volts, you can get soldering irons that are for USB, and they're okay for this kind of stuff, small stuff like that. But if you're going to build a larger drone, you're not going to be able to use this. It just can't transfer heat enough. You're going to need like a decent soldering iron, or at least some sort of a soldering iron. I have quite a few, and this tip though is really screwed up now, but I need new tips. That also costs money. But let's get to this. Right. This is an E010, and this is actually a really decent kit. Where did I put the drone? It's here. This one was broken when I got here. They had like a fix on it, so but I know how to fix it, so I can fix it. I just need to do a wire from one side to another. Now those skills don't come by themselves. That kind of comes after time, and so be able to fix traces on electronics. That's kind of a different video. So back to the script, and let's put this somewhere over here. Okay. So whoops should be something that you should be looking out for, E010 and stuff like that. Ask around in groups if anything, if now we're gonna get to getting the parts, right? Let's continue here on your drone build lesson, or building how to get in, you know. I told you how the whole thing, like whoops, got started with this thing. I told you about this, with a toy, and then they kind of just exploded, and now it's like there are companies that actually have them. It's a good way to get into the hobby. They also have kits, but they cost money. So if you don't have any money, that's going to already be difficult. But if you can get hold of one of these toy drones like this, right? Then the next step, you'll get like a charger, and you'll get batteries with it normally, and even if you buy a new one, or if you can get a used one, try and see if you can get a used one from a Facebook Marketplace, or see if you can contact other forums or something. Ask around if you can buy a used one, and if you're lucky, and tell them that you'll pay for shipping as well, because that's already a good start. Now, if they say, yeah, I have one, you can have it for free if you pay for shipping, then boom, you just got a free drone, or really cheap one, no matter where you live in the world, I think, unless it's Antarctica. So, punt to the side. But, you know, then you really need after one of these is to take the canopy off so it looks like this. Obviously, this is a remote, move the screws. And you can just connect a camera to the plus and minus down here. You're going to need soldering skills. That's mainly one of the things. Soldering skills can be very easily obtained by going to the scrap yard and finding an old radio, and obviously getting a soldering iron first, and then disassemble the radio. Practice desoldering, and then you also have some parts, like maybe you can build a radio. That's also a good way to get into the electronics thing, and drones. Yeah. So then all you really need is the little camera, and then what? Then you need a pair of goggles, or some way to get the FPV feed from the camera, if you're gonna fly FPV, into your eyes. And there are several ways, and one way is to get an expensive pair of goggles like these, custom made, and by me, or you could simply get a device that you connect to your phone that sends the picture. I'll try and see if I can find a picture and flash it on screen, and you can build a box around them and then have them on your eyes. You know, just a cardboard box where you have your phone in, and then it's dark, and then you have a pair of FPV goggles, basically. So that can be done. There are videos on YouTube here where people have done that. So that is or you can just have it, you know, on your radio, or on your lap, or on a table while you're sitting flying FPV. So that's a really cheap way to do it. The dongle for the phone costs money. I don't know if you can get that for free anywhere. And I wouldn't ask, you know, beg, because frankly, beggars don't get anything in the FPV world, because everyone has had a hard time trying to learn and get the grasp on this, because it's very new technology. So there's no space for any beggars. So if you're just asking for free stuff, it's just not going to happen. That's just not how it works. Sorry, but you have to put in some work, just some. Doesn't have to be much, but at least some. You know, I try to get hold of this, but I can't because I'm broke. You could start by getting a job. That's also a good way to get money to be in the hobby. That's kind of how everybody else is doing it. Anyways, let's get back to this and back to your lesson. So, by now, you see that it's not just all simple. And if you don't have any money and you don't have any skills for doing this at all, it's going to be really uphill. But let's continue because there is still hope. There we go. We'll be focusing here on something like this that then gets turned into something like this. This doesn't have to be carbon. This could be wood. You could do it yourself. Many ways to be able to do this yourself. You can use a hot glue gun and wood. I've seen people do that. And effectively what happens here is I changed, this board can run bigger motors at the same voltage, and then I can have bigger propellers. So it's totally different flying experience. Flies much, much better. And it's a hell of a lot of fun. At least it was. I haven't flown this for years, but I know it's still a hell of a lot of fun. I'm charging a battery for this one actually. But so let's I think this is the cheapest way. It really is the cheapest way. Now, how to get motors, for example. So I got started by buying, I already told you, I'm buying this drone. So I had money. But if you have no money, you're going to have to act like an FPV pilot or drone pilot. And then you're going to have to ask, like, around places near you, hey, you know, oh man, I broke a motor for my blah 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 brushed whatever motor. Does anybody have a spare one I can buy? And often, if you're lucky, you know, you just say you'll pay the shipping. You'll pay the shipping. You have to be able to pay the shipping unless you know, you're really really lucky. But people are not gonna pay for shipping. You're gonna have to pay for shipping. It's just the way it is. You're gonna need some kind of money. I mean, you're going to have to invest some kind of money into this if this is what you want. And think of it this way. It's money that you're investing in yourself to gain knowledge, right? Okay. So if you're asking around like, oh man, I just need 2 props and I can go fly again. Often you'll have people be like, oh, I've got 2 of those. I'll send them or I'll give them to you if they're close by. Now, if you're a foreign country somewhere down in South Africa and have no money, I don't know if there's an FPV community down there, but you should definitely seek out the FPV community down there in your local area. Otherwise, it's just not. I'm not. I mean, I live in Scandinavia, and I'm not gonna send things to South Africa like 3 of these props because somebody is asking for them in a nice way, because it's gonna cost me money. And yeah, that's just how it works. You know, what's he gonna send back? What's he gonna give in return? You know, if he's going to send me a bag of nuts from South Africa or something in return, fair enough. But beggars don't get stuff. It's just not a part of this whole community. It is a help people community, but sending things does cost money. But try to find some local group in your local community that do FB. Try and search on Facebook. Try forums. Ask. That's the question you should ask. Are there any drone builders in my local community? And then tell them where you live. Often you'll get, yeah, and then try and get your help there. They'll probably help you get in the air. That's how a lot of people have gotten in the air. And they'll be able to give you some free stuff or cheap stuff, because a lot of us that have been in the hobby for years and years have a lot of stuff, but it all costs money and time and effort too, so it's not just going to be sent away for free. Unless it's like person to person and you get involved. Anyway, now, so you're gonna need to make like a 3 parts brainstorm, like and think like a drone pilot. So, and we've been through that, right? And the shipping, so, and the limited to money. So yeah, there's nothing really else to talk about. That, oh yeah, batteries. Batteries. Now we talked a lot about drones, flight controllers, software, how to get free stuff, if that's even possible. You need to be part of a community somehow, and you need to give to the community to be able to receive from the community. Um, that's just the way it kind of works in any situation. And those skills are good because those skills you can use actually in a job situation. You can say you're good at building bridges to other communities and helping others and stuff like that. So, but obviously, if you don't have any knowledge at all, how would you be able to help? You might be able to help with some other things. Anyway, let's talk about batteries because you probably think, oh, I see a lot of these around, and I can charge these up, and then I can use these for flying. And no, you can't. And these are not rechargeable for one, and it's just not going to work. These are 1.5 volts. Two of them would be three. Three of them would be about what you need to get something like this flying. And the weight of this compared to the weight of this is absolutely crazy significant for little crafts like this, and even bigger crafts, because that's gonna increment. You can't get a big drone to fly on tiny batteries. But then there are these as well, right? Lithium ion batteries, and these are rechargeable, and these you can actually afford. Now you can buy a drone that flies on these, and you can get drones to fly on these. Actually, people have some quite insane flight times on these batteries. But a drone flying one of these batteries needs to be. I don't even think this one can do it. Frankly, I really don't. I haven't tried it. It probably can hover, but that's pretty much it. I mean, this does weigh a lot, so you have to think about that. So let's just take a look at some weights here, just so you have an indication of and let's hope you can see it. I'll tell you what the weight is. So this is a Whoop with a camera, and this weighs 25.2 grams, and it weighs 35 grams with a battery, with a LiPo. So this weighs 45.5 grams with the battery. That's less than this. That's more than this drone with a battery. That's like more than this whole package. So, and that's with the same bolt. Obviously, this has a lot of more milliamps, but it's much easier to get something like this flying that weighs, what does it weigh? Ah, can I even weigh this? Keeps hitting. Yeah, I can go like this. Wait, check this out. I'll go like this, tar it, stick this on top. So this weighs 20 grams, 26 grams. And let's say you want to try and fly it with these 20. So that's just two, and it won't fly with those three. So that's 40. It just gets too heavy with these type of solid batteries. So you're gonna need LiPo batteries or smaller rechargeable batteries that are 3.7 volts at least, because mind you, normally these drones fly on 4.2 volts. Like, so yeah. So it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be uphill. If you got no money, no skills, you're gonna have to start with the skills and the simulator. I mean, soldering skills, basic knowledge of how what a drone consists of, and we can go through that. But that's a really long process. Then we're gonna be looking at the flight controller, and I'm not gonna do a deep dive into how a flight controller works because that's just gonna be nonsense. And gibberish if you have absolutely no knowledge anyway. But I'd advise you, if you want to get into drones, get a toy drone. Just get a toy drone. Save up for it. Put some money away. I don't care how little it is, but you can get one of these for uh, way under $50. I've seen them all the way down to $18 at a point. Don't know what they are now, but it's something in that range, and that's with two batteries and something like that. And then you kind of go from there, flying, like building an FPV drone with no money, no knowledge, something even as simple and dumb and cheap as this, because this is cheap, even though it was like $79. That's way out of your reach with no money and no knowledge. It's just you're gonna have a really hard time, a really bad time, and you're gonna soon find out that this is not a hobby for you, even though it might be. So start small and work from there. That's how everybody else has done it. Everybody else has done it, unless they went to university and studied. No, everybody did that. Everybody's done that. At least they started as small and as a 5 inch or something like that. Maybe a lot of people started with 5 inch drones, but a hell of a lot of people started with these as well, because these are just much more affordable. Now, brush motors are cheapish, a lot cheaper, but they don't last as long. So you're gonna need spares, right? Props. The whole thing is like, so now you have your drone and now you're gonna go fly it. And let's say you haven't been practicing on the simulator, which is what I said in the beginning of this video, and this is what I'm gonna end with. If you haven't practiced in a simulator, and I did this, I was that stupid idiot, crashed a lot, broke, I don't know, thousands of propellers with this. I should have started out flying in, that's one of the reasons why I got good at repairing drones, is actually because I didn't fly the simulator and crashed a lot. So you can take that road, but it's the expensive road. Or you can be sensible and just fly simulator, build a drone, tune it, fly it, or whatever. But having no money, no knowledge, it's just not going to get far. Start with the knowledge and get a toy first. See if it's something for you. See if you can do the uphill, right? See if you can run the marathon. Because, but at least learn how to walk first before you run the marathon. That's my advice. So get a simulator somehow, get one of these somehow, and get going from there. And that's pretty much it. I hope this was really educational and useful for you. Please leave a comment down below. Follow my channel. I have a lot of really good content. At least it's for real. I'm not supported. I don't by any companies or anything like that. I don't. My thoughts and mind is all provoked. All my thoughts about this is all comes from my knowledge and the inside of my head. It's not really provoked by anything externally, like money, because it's not a monetized channel. This is for free. So leave a comment saying thank you or whatever you want down below. And as always, see you in the next one, and fly hard. Cheers.